Joe Burrow is excited to have so many familiar faces on offense this season. Hear from number 9. Plus, what about the Bengals defense? Are they primed to take a big step forward? One-on-one with Dax Hill and much, much more right now on Enter the Jungle. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller. Make sure you check us out every single Tuesday on the YouTube channel, Cincinnati Bengals Talk, weekly on FanDuel Sports Network and wherever you get your podcasts. From Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Yes, you can take Cincinnati Bengals Talk with you wherever you go. And it is the downtime of the year where training camp is just over 5 weeks away, but we're not going anywhere. So just a reminder, if you're looking for your Bengals fix, we have you covered. And let's dive on in, Andrew, and let's start with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow talked last week as minicamp was wrapping up. And one thing that I do think has been overlooked because of Trey Hendrickson's conversation or the Shamar Stewart stuff where, oh my goodness, they kept T and Jamar, is the fact that it's not just Joe's back and T and Jamar are back. Chase Brown's back. Andrei Iosivas is back. Mike Gesicki's back. The revolving tight ends that the Bengals have had, from CJ Uzomah to Hayden Hurst, Irv Smith Jr., that one didn't work out so well, to now Mike Gesicki. Well, now Gesicki's back. That continuity is something that Joe Burrow is really excited about and thinks is going to take the Bengals offense to a new level.
I think we're in a spot that we haven't been before. Guys coming off of a season healthy, getting all of our guys back. It's been weird this offseason not having to really take a new guy that we're counting on under my wing and trying to teach him what I'm looking at, what we want out of each play. That takes a lot of time. And, signing Mike back was big. Andrei coming back. We have all the guys in the wide receiver room back that, we've already had all these discussions. So now you can take it to the next level and talk a little more in depth about those. And that's just going to continue to make us better.
How realistic is it, Andrew, that Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and the Bengals offense can be better, can take the next step, can be even better than they were last season?
Oh, I think they absolutely can be. There's no question about it. I think obviously people are worried about the offensive line. That's always going to be the discussion point when we have this what if as far as this offense and the ceiling that they potentially have yet to reach. I think there's one other element to it as well, though, and it's, you could say everything that Joe said. I mean, it's a fact that there's carryover. You're not having to work with somebody to help them develop and learn the offense. But a bit understated is the fact that Dan Pitcher's back too. Imagine if you had a new offensive coordinator, even though you had the continuity of the players. So you're firing on all cylinders now. I think that what we saw last season, this is going to be a continued ascension for this offense.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And full disclosure, I had this awesome one-on-one interview with Andrei Iosivas that I completely fumbled, like Jeremy Hill in the playoffs. It doesn't exist anymore. So that's on me. I think a lot of you watching and listening wish that Jeremy Hill's playoff fumble didn't exist anymore either, but it still does. But one of the things that Andrei and I talked about was this run game and Chase Brown and taking it to another level, and not just from on the ground, but Chase Brown as a pass catcher. And he's working in Atlanta with Andrei Iosivas and Charlie Jones between now and training camp. I think that's really intriguing because it's like, all right, well, let's just say Jamar is right at the peak of his powers, even though I always think there's more there for a player like that. But let's just say that. And T takes a slight step forward, maybe stays healthier. And then after that, it's like, all right, well, who can make a leap? We heard from T. Higgins a few weeks ago and what he thought of Andrei Iosivas. Another guy's Chase Brown. Would not shock me at all if those two guys take another leap forward, another step forward, plus the continuity, like Joe said, with Mike Gesicki. Skill player-wise, it should be even better than it was last year, which is kind of crazy because you had a guy in T. Higgins that was awesome, had 10 touchdowns, and then you had Jamar Chase win the Triple Crown.
Yeah, I mean, and especially if you factor in, like you said, Iosivas taking the next step. Jermaine Burton, if things are trending in the right direction with him, it seems like he's dialed in right now. He's got the focus there. Maybe he's going to be able to take that next step and mature as a player at a professional level. If that happens, I don't know if there's enough targets to go around with the weapons they have on this offense. And you mentioned Chase Brown. Having Zach Moss back might be a surprising rejuvenation. Chase Brown, not going to be overdoing it on reps. You've got Samaje out there. I think that backfield is going to be the one that might see the most noticeable leap, simply because they're more solid behind Chase Brown than they were for a good chunk of last season.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do, because the depth behind Chase. And I think Chase, just watching him, one of the takeaways was his route running ability. And he's out there working with wide receivers on his own time. If you have a guy like that, that's that quick as a check down option, what a weapon that can be. And you can have him run different routes and have some fun. Heck, but let's say Samaje Perine, and Joe mentioned how much they trust him as a pass protector. You can do some Chase Brown and Samaje Perine both in the backfield looks, especially if Chase Brown's going to run routes the way that I think he's capable of running them. So I think skill player wise, no doubt this offense can just be more complete, I think would be the way I would describe it. If you take away Jamar, you take away T, or T's hurt or Jamar's hurt, well, then you have Mike, and then you have Andrei, and then you have Chase, and then it just goes on and on and on. You mentioned Burton. Certainly hope he can be a deep threat and matter for this offense. That's how a good offense becomes great. And one thing I would say, a lot of people just say, oh, well, you got to worry about the defense, focus on the defense. And we're about to hear from Al Golden coming up in a few minutes. It isn't just that for this Bengals team. Multiple times last year, the offense failed them when they needed to deliver. Not necessarily Joe Burrow, not necessarily this guy or that guy, but all of the above. And that needs to change. They need to go from a very good offense to a great offense. That's my standard for them. So there is room for them to get better. Hopefully they can get there. Going from very good to great is really, 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 really hard to do. I'm not sure they've ever had. In fact, I will say this. People are going to get mad. They've never had a great offense in the Joe Burrow era because they've always had things that have held it back for one reason or another. Not necessarily Joe. Maybe they can be more complete and be a great offense this season.
Yeah. Yeah, now you're going to have me wondering going down that list. I'm not going to go year by year here, but not necessarily Joe, you said. It was always either what? Offensive line. We're going to speak in generalities here, right? Offensive line, maybe run game at times.
Yeah.
I think certainly there was always, where's the deep threat? Where's the speed on the offense? Yeah, there was always those little things. And they might not be an entire season. It might have been start of a season or the end of a season. But going back to the original comment from Burrow, every player we just mentioned here, familiarity, consistency, Burrow being who he is and being able to take that familiar group, he can take it to the next level, no doubt. It'll be fun to watch. I don't want to say it. I'm not going to talk about the defense because that's coming up, but man, I just need them to do their part. I need them to do their part.
Relax.
I'm uncomfortable now. I'm uncomfortable now.
Too. I need the offense to hang 40 a week. There's 27 point blah, blah, blah points. The standard is really high. The Bengals need to average 30 points per game this year. You spend all this money on Jamar and T, and you go get a new offensive line coach. And I know, I get it. They need to do more in the offensive line room. I would too. Even with that, standards are high for the offense. But what about the defense? We'll hear from Al Golden, and I'll share some minicamp takeaways next. Welcome back to End of the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien, and Al Golden and the Bengals defense, well, they have to be better this year. And now Al was awesome last season for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They went to the national championship game. They were awesome in turnovers forced and were really disruptive. And they were disciplined, Andrew. And I think that would be the one word I would use to convey everything that I've heard about Al Golden and everything that he said and how I would describe what his vision is for this Bengals defense. Yeah, they want to be disruptive. Yeah, they want to force turnovers. Yeah, they want to get pressure and all of those things. But they want to be disciplined, doing all of the little things that hurt the Bengals last year that they didn't do. They're planning on doing this year. And just that alone, without any major talent upgrades, which we can talk about, but just that alone, I think the Bengals defense would be much improved if they do get to where Al views them, or at least his vision of them from a disciplined standpoint.
Discipline. We got to improve in so many areas, but yes, discipline is one way to easily sum it up, I suppose. Discipline, you just factor in that ingredient, we're pretty close, if not at average. That's all we needed from this defense. Can we get that?
No, I mean, no doubt. I think that's it, because with discipline, what does discipline mean? It means you're going to be in the right spots and you're going to know where to go and you're going to be disciplined in your ability to tackle and you're going to do all of those things. That's discipline covers a lot.
Fundamentals.
Right? And the coach speak bulletin board, discipline covers a lot. And I like how Al presents things. One thing that I noticed during minicamp, and it's something that you've talked about for the better part of a year, and we're going to hear from Dax Hill coming up in just a few minutes, is the secondary. And obviously there's questions in the cornerback room. There's questions in the safety room. And Al was moving these guys around. I mean, you saw Cam Taylor-Britt rotating and playing some safety in the middle of plays, shifting back, playing in the nickel. He had a really nice interception, the interception that he celebrated right in front of Burrow during the offseason program, and diving play against Mike Gesicki. Joe Burrow responded with a deep touchdown to Jamar Chase. But I digress. The point is, you've seen these guys play different spots, and I do think that versatility could bode well for how Al Golden wants to play. Here's what the Bengals defensive coordinator had to say about guys moving all around, with some praise for his position coaches.
I think Chuck and Jordan do an unbelievable job with those guys in terms of building the depth for the season. Again, in our business, it's like the tyranny of comfort, right? Like, so it's comfortable for a coach to keep a guy at nickel or keep a guy at corner. And these guys are just the opposite, Jordan and Chuck. They make the guys play a bunch of different spots, so that when that comes, when that occurs during the season, it's second nature for the guys to play a different spot. They're a fun group to coach. Their football intelligence, their energy, both in the classroom and on the field. And I'm just really excited about them as a group.
Let's make this about Cam Taylor-Britt. I was going to make it about the entire secondary. We're going to talk about Dax Hill coming up in a few. Cam Taylor-Britt, you buying stock? You selling stock? Are you holding? Where are you at from a Cam Taylor-Britt year 4 for the Cincinnati Bengals?
Assuming Al Golden is doing the very thing that it appears the Bengals are betting that he's going to do based on the moves or lack thereof that they've done on this defense in the offseason, I'm buying, because we've seen the talent that Cam Taylor-Britt has. We've seen the flashes. I don't see why he can't get back to that, assuming that Al Golden is the coach that he was hired to be. Until I see otherwise from Al Golden, I'm buying.
I like Cam a lot. This is the year.
Yeah.
This is the year to do all of that discipline word is coming up right now. If Cam Taylor-Britt is disciplined, he's going to be really darn good, because I think he's got the physical traits. I think he can do everything you need him to do. Can he bounce back in a big way? Because the discipline is going to lead to consistency, and he needs to be more consistent. So we'll see if he can be more consistent. Speaking of consistency, a guy that the Bengals are hoping not only is healthy, but can contribute each and every week is Dax Hill. I'll talk one-on-one with him coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. You can catch us every single Tuesday right here on the YouTube channel Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching on FanDuel Sports Network or wherever you're listening, because we're at almost 56,000 subscribers. And let's dive into my one-on-one conversation with Dax. So I caught up with the former Bengals first-round pick about his recovery from a torn ACL and about, well, how he fits in Al Golden's defense. Here's my conversation with Dax. In the Bengals locker room with Dax Hill. Dax, obviously it's been a rehab-filled offseason for you. Minicamp's wrapping up right now. How are you feeling physically?
I feel great. It's been a great offseason for me. I've been here since my injury. Good to be back in the locker room, and yeah, it's been great.
I remember when I've talked to other guys about ACL injuries, and the thing that they talk about is that first couple weeks after surgery. Was that the hardest time now that you're running and cutting and doing all of those things?
Yeah, I think that was like the biggest hump, really kind of just not doing anything and keeping my knee extended. I think that was just the protocol for me in terms of just listening to the doctor. But yeah, once I was able to walk around, I was ready to get the treatment. And yeah, so it was a whirlwind at first because I was out in Cali doing some treatment. But once I came back, I was, kept my head down and was ready to work from there because I knew it was going to be a long process. So,
what were your first impressions of Al Golden, and how do you feel about him now?
Oh yeah, I mean, my first impression was about the same as it was as it is now. I feel like he's great for the locker room. He's been here obviously a couple years ago, so I think it's great for the locker room, for us as a defensive unit, and I love him.
Where's your mindset cornerback wise? Because I think you are going to move around a little bit. I don't think you're just going to be on the outside only, just watching these guys. A lot of the corners are moving around so far in minicamp. How do you attack it? But from a mentality standpoint, knowing that you're definitely going to be a corner this year?
Kind of just staying open-minded. Like you said, everyone's kind of being moved around right now. And I think that's just, how the offseason is. Like, you see what you have and see what works best. Because week to week, you want everything to stay the same, but at the same time, you may have to plug people in a different spot. So I think this is the time to do that. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm keeping my mind open. And, whatever happens, happens.
What's your favorite thing to do from covering or blitz?
Pretty much everything. Whatever I'm asked to do, that's what I'm going to do. Simple as that. I feel like I've been doing that since I've been here. And if that's what's required of me this year, that's what it's going to be. So
the Bengals front office had this vision of adding a weapon that can do it all when they drafted him 31st overall. And then it just didn't happen. I believe, based on conversations on record, off record, in between, on camera, off camera, I should say, I think everything I've had conversation-wise with Dax Hill has been on record. But whether it's Dax, whether it's the coaching staff, everybody seems like they're on the same page to unleash him and let him maximize what he can do. I hope he's healthy. I hope he's cleared for camp, and I'm excited to see it because I think he can be a big difference maker on this defense.
Yeah, and we talk about with the offense, the continuity there. Obviously, the defense shaking things up for a number of reasons. But I can't help but think that a player like Dax Hill probably could use some continuity for once. And the fact that he's got his cornerback coach and Chuck Burks there with him, I think there's something to that as well. But at an Al Golden level, looking at this defense as a whole, I don't know who I would pick, but Dax Hill's certainly up there in terms of what player do I want to be Al Golden's chosen one, like best friend and true, number one mentor, all of it. I want the biggest bond between someone with a mind like Al Golden and a Dax Hill who is as versatile and has not been able to flash what he can flash at the NFL level. But it's a long list. Miles Murphy, I could go on, but Dax Hill's up there.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Speaking of important figures on Al Golden's defense, I'm not sure anyone's more important than Logan Wilson. Yes, he has the green dot, but he did something really, really awesome away from football. Andrew was there. We'll get to that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. And last week, Logan Wilson had the annual Logan Wilson Celebrity Softball Game, Home Run Derby as well. You were there in Dayton, Andrew. Break it down for me. What stood out?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm glad you weren't there. I don't know if you would have been able to control yourself because during the home run derby, let's say, I figured that was just I feel like that was just an affront, an attack on you because you would have been wanting to be all competitive. Oh, look how poorly these guys are hitting the ball. I could play better than this player. You would have been so distracted about how you couldn't challenge them if you had seen what I saw. So it's good that I was there. I was able to just observe and be objective.
Why couldn't I have challenged them? That is my beef with the entire softball thing. They didn't invite me to play.
Yeah, I know. And that's
seeing some of these highlights of these dudes playing. There's no doubt that if there was a starting 9 Bengals edition and they included the beat reporters, that I would be in it. Easily one of the best 9 baseball players in that locker room, at least of the ones that showed up for the softball tournament. My goodness. So Jamar Chase striking out. What do you mean striking out, Mr. Triple Crown? I gave him a hard time on Friday afterward, or on Thursday after. I said, what are you doing striking out? Baseball is not my sport. I don't care if baseball is your sport. You would expect me to catch a football, Jamar. I'm expecting you to make contact.
By the way, during the actual game itself, Jamar got hit by a pitch, and it was in that moment I was like, maybe we shouldn't do this, everybody. What are we doing here? Right at the ankle. I even have like a little clip here. For those that are listening, you will have to hear us describe what we're seeing here. There it is, right there. Slow motion. Gets hit by a pitch right on the calf or the ankle, it looked like. But then he's all smiles, and he took his base.
It's softball.
I'm just saying.
It's softball. That's not going to hurt. You know what hurt is my eyes watching these guys try to catch a ball, not calling for it, not communicating. I'm just saying, Al Golden would have been ashamed as well. You need some communication here. And I will say Zach Taylor made a few nice plays from what I saw. But yeah, for the powers that be, whether it's Logan or whoever, invite me next year. I'll be ready to go. And who knows, I might win the home run derby, which they probably don't want. They don't want that to happen.
You know what?
I think I'd have a good shot.
I would love if you'd be out there, and then if I go and cover it again, I'll be on the side of the field that you're playing. Like if you're an outfield, let's say, or third base, then I'm going to be where you are, because the kids at this thing, they had a blast. They were nonstop yelling at every player. It never ended. It was the entire time behind me. It was just like, Jamar, T, sign this, do the gritty, Jamar. And it never ended. The decibel level, the entire game. So if you're over there, be very quiet, and I'd appreciate that.
It would be very, very quiet. Hey, who are you? That's what it would happen.
Hey, by the way, they yelled at me. It was cameraman. And then they'd be like, go get Jamar.
Hey, we all have our place in the world, Andrew. He's Andrew Foxmiller. I'm James Rapien. Hopefully we get the invite next year. You back again to cover it.
Yeah.
Me to play. I'm down to play. I don't know if they want those problems. That's going to do it, though, for Enter the Jungle. Until next time, for Andrew Foxmiller, I'm James Rapien. Oh, yes, there would be problems. Thank you so much for watching right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk.